Hi everybody. So I'm probably not gonna have a very long vlog for this one. Our poor little baby might have pink eye, so we're gonna take him to urgent care in just a moment. I've been playing phone tag with his doctor all day, but she told me that I guess they take it pretty seriously for newborns and that she wants us to go in, so that's what we're gonna do. But other than that, today's been a pretty fun day. We got to take June out to McDonald's and let her play with other kids, and I wish I would have vlogged it. She was going pretty wild, but now she's playing and she's got her food there. She didn't really eat it at McDonald's, so we brought it home for her, watching Captain Underpants. Is this her first time seeing it? Because I've never showed her.
I think it's your first time.
Yeah, okay. We love Netflix so freaking much now. I don't know why we thought Hulu was it. Netflix is actually way better. It's got all of her, movies that she could ever love, want to see. We watch Moana like a million times a day, and Boss Baby, and she's getting into Trolls now, and now we're showing her this. I'm hoping they put it on there because I would watch that like 1,000 times. But that's like way off topic. So before I get into it, I'm sorry about the living room and the mess. It's been hard. This is week 3 of him being home, and it's been kind of hectic with 2 kids trying to clean everything up. But yes, I wanted to talk about labor and delivery. So for us, it was a Thursday. Thursday. We went in at 9 p.m. and what they wanted to do was start inducing labor with those little gel tablets that they insert, and it's supposed to soften your cervix. But so right away she hooked me up to the monitor that was, monitors the baby's heartbeat and my contractions, and that was before she gave me the tablet. And she was like, yeah, you're having contractions already. And I was like, oh, I just thought I was having some cramps. Okay. So I was already having some contractions, but they were nothing serious at all. Not even, obviously I didn't know I was having contractions, so they weren't that big of a deal. But then right away, I think maybe 30 minutes after she gave me the tablet, I started getting some pretty serious filling contractions, and I didn't want to do any medication, so I was, going at this all natural, and I was already exhausted. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair. I was already exhausted. I didn't sleep much the night before, and I was going to try to sleep, throughout the day before we had to go in, but they were doing construction outside our apartment, so I didn't get to sleep, and I was exhausted. Tried to rest a little bit during those contractions, but I really couldn't. Jessie, around 5 o'clock, ended up leaving for work, 5 a.m., and she gave me the birthing ball at this point. My contractions were getting stronger, and I wanted to start using the birthing ball. And I don't know what happened, but somewhere, in the middle of me being on this birthing ball, I passed out. I fell asleep and didn't realize I was asleep. I was hunched over on top of the bed, sitting on the birthing ball, and one of the nurses came in and she was like, you need to get up on the bed, you're asleep and that's kind of not safe. So she wanted me to lay down. They ended up giving me another tablet. At this point, I don't remember. I still hadn't been dilating for some reason. I was having contractions, already, like Braxton Hicks, and then regular contractions before I even went in to go be induced. But I still hadn't been dilating much. I was like 3 centimeters, I believe. And I still wasn't dilating much. So then, right before Jessie got back, he came back around like 11 o'clock, right babe? my doctor came in and they're like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna pop your water now to help move things along quicker, because I was already having some really good contractions, and at this point his heartbeat was fine. I was doing fine, just trying to, you know, labor through, and it was crazy going this long. So from 9 p.m. till about 11, I was going natural, and I mean, they were no joke. The contractions were pretty wild, and I was tired. I was getting so tired from the contractions, and you know, it was hard. I didn't get too much of a break in between, because with those tablets, you know, it's not as regulated, and I would get a couple in a row back to back without a break. So, you know, they decided they were going to break my water. They wanted to progress things, and that sucked. I remember with my daughter, my doctor at that time had just put the hook in and popped it right away, but for some reason they couldn't find the bag or whatever when they were trying with him, and I mean, she kept going in and out and in and out, and I was like holding the bed, cringing, like freaking out, because this thing felt like it had bumps on the plastic or something. It felt so weird and it hurt. I'd take those contractions over that any day, actually. But my water ended up breaking, and you know, just like any other time, it just felt like a lot of warm water coming out, and I was on the bed, and they had, you know, put towels and stuff under me, so I'm feeling like I'm just sitting in my own wet. But ew, June. My kids gross sometimes.
Please don't do that.
But at this point, contractions, I don't know why, but like immediately after they popped my water and left the room, the contractions got a lot more wild. They were so strong, and I had just been breathing through them. I got back on the birthing ball. They had put a pad down for me, one of those like blue and white pads, so I didn't get, you know, the ball gross. And I was rocking back and forth on that, going through contractions, and then I decided, you know what, I want to go. And you okay, Bubba? The baby is right here with me. I wanted to go and, you know, labor in the shower. I wanted to like let the water hit me and, you know, help me through my labor. And she was like, sure, okay. And what happens is they put a different monitor on you. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good angle. They put a different monitor on you that, you know, the water won't damage. And so she'd been sitting there and she could not find his heartbeat. And she was like, you know, we're probably gonna have to, you know, either get back in bed or get on the ball. I can't find his heartbeat. And I was like, okay, you know, I'll get back on the ball. And that sucked. Of course, I already knew my plans probably won't go through. You know, you never actually get to have that perfect labor that you just planned out. Different things happen. But I was kind of bummed because anybody that, you know, knew what I wanted during labor knew that I really wanted to either be in the tub or in the shower. I wanted to just sit in the water. I'm a big baby. Whenever I'm sick, I go into the water anyway, so I was like, that's gonna be perfect for me. But I couldn't do it, so I got back on the birthing ball, and at this point, Jess would be, you know, rubbing my back and, you know, talking to me, and it was nice having you there. It was nice. I don't know, I hear a lot of people, you know, complain about their partner rubbing their backs. It did not bother me at all. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was like, please keep rubbing my back, don't stop. And then she came back in and I didn't even realize I wasn't looking at the charts or anything. I was focusing on breathing and relaxing and getting through each contraction. And she goes, his heartbeat, you know, keeps going down. So when I had a contraction, it would just drop. But then as soon as the contraction was over, I'd go back up and be fine. And it kept going on for a while. She wanted me to get in bed and see if that helped, but it kept happening. And she was, you know, explaining to me that because they popped my waters and I didn't have very much fluid left in there, when I was having contractions, it was squeezing him. And so it just like make his heart rate drop. And at this point I was freaking out. I don't think Jess was freaking out too much. I think he was more confident about the situation, but I was freaking out. And then did he just spit up? No, it's just bubbles. She had been explaining to me that I was tensing up, and that was probably a big part of it too. During contractions I was getting tense and I guess not doing as great at relaxing and just dealing with it and letting the pain going with the flow as I was hoping I would. And I would like kind of hold the bed and like I'd breathe through it, but I was like, ugh. And so we were talking about it, and I was like, you know, will the epidural help? And, you know, she was like, well, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I was like, you know, I'll do the epidural if it's going to help, because I was so worried about his heart rate dropping as much as it did. And this was about 1 o'clock, I think. Yeah. 1 o'clock, I asked for the epidural. And so we waited a little bit for the anesthesiologist to come in, and I'd already been through this with my daughter. So he was starting to do everything, but before that they gave me fentanyl, and Jess was laughing at me. As soon as it hit me, it felt like this cloud of comfort. I was just like, oh, yes, that feels nice. And I started just getting really chatty with everybody, and I look over and Jess is laughing at me because, you know, like I went from being seriously stressed out and in pain to, yeah, I like this. How are you guys doing? You know, thank you. I kept trying to thank the doctor, the anesthesiologist. Thank you so much. This feels great. Thank you. And he was just sitting there in the corner laughing at me. He was like, you feeling good? And I was like, oh yeah, I feel really good. And so then they give me the epidural. And at that point, I got rest. I could, I actually took a little bit of a nap, I think. I was resting pretty well. Wasn't feeling any contractions. They had TV on, and I was watching that. He's farting. That's not me. That's the baby. He's farting. They kept coming in and checking, and it would be like every 30 minutes actually. And oh, okay, well now you're 7 centimeters. Okay, now you're 8 centimeters. And he was texting his mom, and she's like, that's nothing. She's not gonna have the baby today. It's taking forever. Everybody was texting him, is the baby here yet? Is she pushing? Is she gonna have the baby? And I don't know. You wanna watch Trolls?
Yeah, Trolls.
Can you guys tell she's having a great time right now? She brought Grumpy Cat up to watch the movies with her. That's her friend. Eating her snacks, just having a good time. You wanna hit X, babe? So yeah, I mean, I was pretty bummed. I was proud of myself for going as long as I did natural, but at the same time I was beating myself up. I was like, I should have gone the whole way. But at the same time, as soon as they gave me the fentanyl, I'm sitting there like, why didn't I just do this in the first place? I could have been sleeping the whole time, and I was so scared. And they didn't tell me this until they gave me the medicine. I was so angry. I had heard so many people go, yeah, if you get the epidural, it slows down your labor. And she goes, no, that's not true. She was like, you know, we've actually seen women go through labor a lot quicker with the epidural because they're relaxed. And I was like, well, crap. Thanks for letting me know that now. It took forever, but at least I got the epidural, and about maybe an hour or two later, I ended up feeling like, you know, there was all this pressure, and at first I thought the epidural wore off, and I was like, I clicked it already, so why is it wearing off? It's been like maybe 20 minutes. It shouldn't be wearing off already. And Jess, you know, Mr. Know-it-all's like, well, he told you you're supposed to feel some pressure. So there you go. And you know, no, it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like I'm getting the goddamn contractions again. That's what it felt like. It felt like wild, crazy contractions. And I was like, oh my God. And so I was letting them know, you know, I feel a lot of pressure. It feels like I'm getting the contractions again. Well, let us check you. And she was like, you're about, you know, like a 9, whatever. And I was like, I feel like this baby's ready to come out. And they're like, no, we'll get the doctor. We'll call Angie and have her come check you. And I was like, yes, get the doctor. Because I don't know what it is. They seem to always feel like when women are like, the baby's coming. No, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not time. You know, it happened with my daughter too. I was like, she's coming. And they were like, no, you're not ready. And I was like, she's coming. And the nurse checked and she goes, oh my God, let me go get the doctor. And she ran. Why do they question you when you're like, I know this baby, you and your body knows what's going on. You know what you're feeling. So why do they question it? I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but that just trips me out. But yeah, so they go and get Angie, and Angie checks me, and she says about the same thing, like, you're not quite ready yet, let's give it about another 30 minutes. And I was like, I really feel like I'm ready. Like, she goes, okay, well, let me wait, and we will see what you feel like with the contraction. So we start to get one, and she goes, oh, okay, like, you know, once she gets a contraction, you know, she's fully dilated. And fully effaced, I was like, can we get this baby out? And so she right away, like, I didn't say that, I was thinking, I was like, so does that mean I get to push? And she goes, okay, let's call people, let's get this ready, it's time to have a baby. And I looked over at Jess, and I just remember being so excited, and he was smiling. I'm pretty sure I was smiling, I don't even remember, I just know I was so excited. And they start setting the room up, and I didn't realize that the bed I was on dropped, like the end of it. They asked me to scoot down, which was impossible because I had the epidural, and like I could still feel the pain, but my legs were numb. So all of these nurses come rushing in. We're getting ready, and they, you know, tell Jess to get ready to hold my legs, and they kept asking if I could move my legs, do this or that, and I was like, they're stones, I can't do anything. And I remember trying so hard, and that's like, you're gonna laugh too when I tell you what happened, because my legs were literally stones. But so I start to push, and he's smiling. Oh, he stopped, but yeah.
Yes, they're into Bella Day, but are they really that into it?
He was smiling. So yeah, like I was saying, they tell me to start to push with the contraction, and they were counting to 10. I don't remember them doing that with my daughter. They would just tell me to push and to breathe, but with him, they were like, okay, we're gonna count to 10 and then stop and then go with the next contraction. It took 2 pushes, but with the first one, I thought his head was already out. It felt the way, you know, it did with my daughter when her head came out. And I was just like waiting for them to, you know, have me get his, you know, pull his shoulders out, or however it was they do it. And she goes, you need to keep pushing. And I was like, what? His head still was not out. And I'm sitting there, and we had to wait for the next contraction, and I'm freaking out. I was like, is he like suffocating? And she goes, he hasn't taken his first breath yet, he's fine. Okay, like I'm sitting here freaking out because his head's just in there, and I was so worried about him. But you know, second push, and his head was out, and I just remember it hurt so bad. With my daughter, I didn't feel anything other than pressure. I feel like I had to go to the bathroom. With him, it was so painful, and the shoulders were the worst part. But as soon as they got his shoulders, I remember it being the weirdest wet feeling ever, like a bag of water came out. It was the craziest feeling, like you could feel how slippery the baby is and everything. And they put him on me, and I remember I started to cry. I was so happy. With June, she got quiet so quick. I got her to, you know, I shushed her, and I was loving on her, and she was just looking at me. With him, he was screaming his little lungs out, and he was letting everybody know he was not ready to come out or be born, and he was very upset. I just cut the umbilical cord, and they let me keep him on my skin right away. Right away, I was working on getting him to latch. They actually changed their policies, which I'm so happy about. They don't bathe the baby until 8 to 24 hours after they've been born. And I wasn't going to have him bathed at all. I was going to just do it when we got home. But that's where the problem was. He had so much fluids in his lungs from, you know, being born. So later on they ended up having to give him a bath, but it's like later on in the story. So they, after about an hour or so, weighed him. They came in to see him, to weigh him, and to take care of everything. And I asked if I could go pee. They were taking out the catheter and, you know, just getting me ready to go pee. And she goes, do you feel like you can walk on your own? Like, should I get somebody else? I was like, no, I've got this. Because, like, at that point, I was already moving my toes and my foot. Like, I could feel all of that, so I just assumed I was good. I could feel stuff. And so we get up, and I get ready to start walking. Like, after 2 steps, Jess told me that's what it was. It was 2 steps, and I just, like, crashed to the ground. My leg gave out, and he laughs at me for it, but it's not funny. I thought I could walk, and I mean, my knees were bruised when I got home. I had crashed to the ground, and they had a hard time getting me back up. And then going to the bathroom, I was having those contractions from my uterus shrinking back up. So we were sitting there enjoying our time with Elijah after that. He was 7 pounds 1 ounce and 21 inches long, and he's got dark hair just like his dad, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna have brown eyes because he's got gray eyes right now, not even blue. June had bright blue, and then they went to Hazel. His are just dark gray, so I'm sure they're gonna be a brown. But right away, he was just a quiet, calm little baby. All he wanted was to be held, and he still is the same way 3 weeks later. He's quiet and calm, just wants to be held. The only time he's loud is the same as when he was born, you know, being naked, getting a bath, which he's better with now. But getting his diaper changed, he hates. But as long as he's dressed and you're not changing his diaper, he is super happy. But that night was really hard. Jess had to get June from her grandparents, so he had to take her back home. Careful for his bottle. So I was there with Elijah, and I remember he kept spitting up and choking on his spit. Like, I was so exhausted. So this is like basically almost day 3 of no sleep, because he had me up all night. He wanted to be on me and feed, and like, especially with how exhausted I was, you don't want to fall asleep with the baby in your arms, so I was keeping myself up, to be up with him, especially with him spitting up and choking. Like, I was freaking out, and I finally thought he was okay, and I put him down, and I was asleep for maybe 30 minutes or so, and then I heard this noise, and I, looked up at him, and he's laying there choking on, I guess it was some of the fluid. He had thrown it up and then started choking on it. And so, of course, again, round 2 of hurting myself, I got up to run for him and to pick him up and start, patting his back. And I had blankets around my feet, and so I fell to my knees again for the second time. And it made my cramps so bad, and I started bleeding way worse. They ended up having to give me Vicodin. I was in so much pain, and they wanted to keep giving it to me, and I was like, no more. The one was fine. I cannot handle prescription pills at all. It makes me so sick. It messes with my stomach. But they ended up coming in and kind of rolling up a blanket and putting it under the padding of his little bed to elevate him a little bit in case he started throwing up again. But at this point, I was so terrified. I wasn't sleeping. I was staying up with him until somebody got there to watch him while I slept. And they suggested, because of all the fluids in his lungs, they checked it when I let them know what was going on, giving him a bath so he would cry it out. And it worked. We gave him his bath, and maybe I'll show a clip of that. But they gave him his bath, and he cried so hard until he got his hair washed. He loved getting his hair washed, and then they had, the little heater on for him in that bed, and he just laid there relaxing and soaking it up. He loved it. And after that, it was impossible to wake him up for a feeding. He's waking up. But after that, they ended up releasing us. He passed his hearing test. He passed all of his tests, got his shots. And since bringing him home, he's just been, an amazing little baby. I mean, it's of course difficult at night. He still keeps me up. He's only 3 weeks old, but he's way better than my daughter was. He just, when he's ready to eat or have his diaper changed, he'll let you know, which is good, because for a while there, he wasn't letting us know anything. And, I have, oh God, he threw up. Sorry about that. We have babies with really light skin, and just rashes show up so quickly on them for whatever reason. I was the same way as a baby. I don't think Jessie was, but I definitely was a very rashy kid all the time. Sensitive skin, and they've got it too. So with him not letting us know, that's bad. Hey, Bubba. Let's say hi to everybody. Let's say hi. And he's spitting up again. Sorry about that. He was hungry. But yeah, he's just a really good little baby. love him so much, and his sister loves him. I'll show you guys a picture of her first meeting him, and I'll probably put in a couple of different pictures for you guys to see. And I'll put in a clip of his first bath. But I'm sorry that I couldn't actually film the labor. Jess had to work, and I'm not still on his phone. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.
Just washing his hair really quickly like you did a few minutes ago, that's fine. I'm just gonna comb out any blood or anything like that. And then we'll just rinse his hair. Try to keep his ears dry. He passed his hearing screen, didn't he?
Yeah.